YouTube, what is up? James, MTG Biggie here, and today marks day number 1 of Masters 25 previews and spoilers, and we're going to go over basically every card spoiled. Some we're going to spend more time on than others, but I thought it would be a nice video to recap everything and then talk about how the set's coming together so far. So we have over 20 cards. So let's get right into it. We're going to start out Achroma, Angel of Fury. Just a cool, rare, or mythic angel. A neat, flavorful, iconic sort of card. This card came out after I had quit playing Magic for the time that I took off. But very cool to see it back, and cool to see Morph in the format for Limited, and just a neat reprint. Commander players, EDH players, and whatnot should really enjoy this. It's cool to see it. It'll be fun to draft it. Obviously, like, if you open this card, you probably take it immediately. Morph is always great in draft because you can play it early, you can play it late. Yeah, so interesting reprint. Pretty welcome to a set that so far is doing a killer job of printing iconic, well-known, super important cards throughout Magic's history. When they named the last Master set Iconic Masters, I think this is what people expected. Blood Moon. What more can we say about Blood Moon? It's a card that just had a reprint not long ago in Modern Masters 17, I believe. And it's still like a $25 card. So reprints are welcome. The one notable thing, and this is my favorite thing about this printing of Blood Moon, is the watermarks on all of the cards from the original sets that they came out in. So far, this is the only card from the Dark originally, and I think this watermark's going to look insanely pretty in foil. I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for those after the set comes out, because it's a good looking card, has great art anyway, and this just adds a little something special to it that I think sets it apart from the regular printings or the last Modern Masters printing of it. Blood Moon is a staple in Modern. I'm playing a Blood Moon deck currently with Jace the Mind Sculptor, which is a card that we've already talked enough about, so we're not going to talk about Jace. But Blood Moon is welcome as a reprint. I am borrowing a set of them, so hopefully maybe I can get my own with this sweet watermark from the Dark, because that feels very cool and very nostalgic to me, which is what this set is really doing a killer job with. Then we have... This is Blue Elemental Blast. It was spoiled in another language. But for those who don't know, it's a modal spell. 1 blue, choose 1. You counter target red spell or destroy target red permanent. Very iconic, very cool to see cards from Alpha still being relevant and good and playable. In the, I believe it was Eternal Masters, they reprinted Pyro and Hydroblast, which are essentially the same card. They basically functionally do the same thing. This is cool to see them go back to the original version of those spells. So very cool to see. And at common is super cool, super valuable. I believe this officially puts it into Pauper legality. Before, the only ones you could use are Pyro and Hydroblast. So now with the Elemental Blast at common in Masters 25, it's Pauper legal, so you can max out on 8 blast effects in your respective colors. Chalice of the Void. Basically, Wizards of the Coast is backing up the money truck and dumping off just piles of money, because Chalice of the Void is a card that keeps rising in value, and it's still going to hold value being printed at Mythic, but it's very nice to see another printing of it. It is one of those cards that I don't have access to directly. I don't have a playset or have a very close friend with a playset that I could borrow them from. So it's nice to see prison decks in Modern and Legacy use the hell out of this card, and it was creeping up toward $100. So Hopefully this brings it back down to like the $40 or $50 range. In theory, that's where I think it'll settle. Really nice to see. I'm going to be on the lookout for those as well to go with my new Blood Moons. And yeah, I'm glad to see it in the set. I'm glad to see them not afraid to reprint these money cards that have crept up and created a barrier of entry for players who would like to have them. So glad to see that. I want to build a new Legacy deck, and it may be a Chalice deck. Who knows? Curse Catcher, today the Professor at Tolarian Community College and Nikachu kind of collectively spoiled Curse Catcher at common, which is good. This card was like $5 or $6, keeping Merfolk kind of expensive in Modern. It's a great staple of Modern Merfolk. It's the best Merfolk 1-drop that the deck has access to. It's a common that just keeps creeping up in price, so it's good that this will keep it down. And again, it has the OG watermark, which looks very nice. I'm sure this will be a highly sought after foil as well, so that's good to see in the set. Dark Ritual. Alright, so this is the Dark Ritual printing we're getting at common, of course. Dark Ritual historically has always been a common. However, the art that they chose for this printing of Dark Ritual really kind of disappointing to me, at least personally. I've seen other folks on the internet complaining a little bit about it. My favorite Dark Ritual art, I believe, is obviously the original Alpha, Beta, but after that, if they can't use that art for like rights purposes, I really love the Tempest art and the Mirage art, and then I think the Urza's Saga art. All much superior arts to this. The Mercadian Mask art even. This has just always been my least favorite version of this card. But that's just a very small complaint. I'm glad to see Dark Ritual in a format. This is going to be making black absolutely draftable and powerful and, you know, doing busted things in draft. So it's cool to see, and I'm sure it'll look fine in foil or whatever. It's just, again, not the ideal artwork for me, but that's okay. It doesn't, not everything has to please me. You know, Wizards is killing it with this set so far. This is Eldamri's Call from Planeshift originally. Again, spoiled in another language. What it says is it's essentially a tutor for creature cards. You search your library for a creature card and reveal it, and I believe put it in your hand, if not on top. Translation, I don't know. It's been a long while. But cool reprint, Commander staple, the sort of card that is flavorful, and Planeshift is a set that didn't have a lot to put at rare level, so this is a nice welcome reprint, and should be cool. The artwork is gorgeous, so that's definitely a cool piece of nostalgia and history being printed in Masters 25, and I'm all for it. Then we have Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, the 5/5 Flying First Strike, Boros-colored Angel. Another card that'll see play, or has seen play in Commander, I'm sure. Just a big, flavorful angel. Beautiful artwork, of course. Pretty cool to see. Anything with Legendary that's just a giant, massive beater is always cool to see for the Commander players out there. And will be fun in Draft as well. Absolute bomb in Limited. So, obviously you play this if you open it. Then we have something super cool and super sweet, and I'm super happy to see, and that is Goblin War Drums from Fallen Empires. Possibly the worst set ever in the history of Magic the Gathering. Only had a couple cards worth noting, and Goblin War Drums is absolutely one of them. And it's really cool to see the Fallen Empire symbol on a modern bordered card. That's just a neat little thing that I think is pretty interesting. And it's a common, so no real monetary value here, but just cool and neat and a nice throwback to a time when Magic the Gathering was not a sure thing. It was not a home run. There was some times in its history where it wasn't on as sure a footing as it is now. So Fallen Empires was one of those times, and it's cool to see a little callback, a little nostalgia for those of us who remember digging through bulk boxes and just seeing this symbol over and over again. So, cool little reprint. I'm all for it. You'll notice that a lot of what I'm saying and a lot of these cards, my reaction is going to be I'm all for it, because so far the spoilers have been great. Moving on, we have Hannah Ship Navigator with Ship's Navigator with Therese Nielsen art, which is gorgeous. This is a card that was originally out in Invasion. That's basically around the time I started playing Magic, was during like Mercadian Mask block into Invasion block. So this was a new card when I was playing Magic originally before I quit. So that's very cool to see. In the new border or whatever, it's definitely a different feel. Those who remember the old gold border was very, very like distinct looking and had that like really almost mustardy yellow golden tone to it. But definitely gorgeous artwork. I'm guessing this sees play in Commander at some form or fashion. Again, I'm not much of a Commander player, and I'm not meaning to lump all of these into the, oh, it seems good for Commander, but legitimately this card seems great in Commander. So Hannah Ship's Navigator, very cool rare to see. I'm all about that. Invasion was a cool set. That whole block was, I think, underappreciated. So I'm glad to have it. This is the card that I'm most excited about overall, and I probably should have saved this for last, but I'm just kind of taking these in the order that they saved. Imperial Recruiter. This card is insane for a couple of reasons. One, it only saw major printing in one of the least printed sets of all time, Portal 3 Kingdoms, which was only released, I believe, in China, at least to the mass market. And for that reason, this card's original printing is over $200. The other thing that makes this card super valuable and super costly is because it's the key piece to a couple of legacy decks, one of which is a Lurin, and the other one being the Imperial Painter combo deck. And Imperial Painter is a deck that I've been super interested in Legacy for a long time, and this was the barrier that kept me from trying to build it. This card being almost $300 at certain points in its history kept me away from it because I'm just not comfortable spending that much money on one card, let alone a playset of them. But now that we're seeing a reprint, and it'll clearly come down in price, it is mythic, though. It's nice to see, and I'm going to have to look into putting together that deck at some point or another. It's a super sweet deck. This card is super sweet. Those who know Legacy Death and Taxes know how good cards like Recruiter of the Guard is, which is essentially the pseudo-functional reprint of this that doesn't work with the Painter combo in Legacy, but it's a Death and Taxes staple since it's been printed. You know the sort of power level that a card has when it immediately becomes a staple in a Legacy deck that has a pretty tight sort of list. So, Imperial Recruiter, it's an amazing card. It lets you Demonic Tutor for a creature and put it in your hand, and in Legacy there are some busted creatures to tutor for, and there are a lot of cool ways to play with this card, so I'm super excited for this. Like, this so far is my favorite reprint that they've announced in this set, and everybody was like, wow, Jace is in the set. That's a lot of money to put in the set or whatever. That's a huge chase card. I think this is a bigger deal than Jace. So you heard it here. Imperial Recruiter, those who are newer to the game, who may happen to draft Masters 25, if you open this card, don't pass it. It looks like it's not very powerful in draft. It's worth a ton of money, and it's super powerful in Legacy, and if you open this card and you pass it, it will be a mistake. If you open this card and you keep it, and you would like to trade them to me, let me know. But yeah, Imperial Recruiter, super sweet. super happy for it to be in this set. And this is like the first card I saw spoiled from today was the Recruiter, and my mind was just like just blown at how long it's been since this card's been printed and how much money that they're just dumping into this set. It's a great feeling. It'll make the overall EV of the boxes pretty solid, I think, going into it after the set's released. So, I'm not a financial guy per se, but it doesn't take a Wall Street financial sort of well-trained college graduate to figure out that this card's worth a ton of money, and when you open this in your box, you're going to feel really good about it. So, moving on, we have Living Wish. I believe Wedge at the Mana Source spoiled this one today. It has some cool new art, although I like the original art a little better. This art is gorgeous. Very cool card to see. Just having Judgment kind of represented. The Wish cycle is very iconic and very important in Magic. It does a very unique thing that not many other things do. And when cards do the same thing that a Wish does, people take notice. So that's very cool. This card sees play in Legacy Lands a fair amount, and some other random Legacy brews that utilize creatures and would rather sideboard them than keep them in the main deck. Also lands, it lets you search for, so clearly the lands deck's going to want that. So super cool. Will give the lands players the ability to pick up some nice foils for their deck, so that's interesting. And it's always been just a super cool card, so glad to have that. Hopefully they print some of the other wishes in the cycle. Who knows if they're going to go full cycle with it or just pick and choose the ones that they want to print. Either way, Living Wish is super awesome. Then we have Murder at common, your basic removal. Not much to say here, not super iconic, but efficient and a good removal spell. So if you're in black, in draft, you're going to play these and draft as many as you want or are able to remove the big busted creatures that people are playing. So not much to say there, but neat. Then we have Niv Mizzet, the Firemind. Super cool card, big dragon. I mean, cool to see. Watermark looks great, especially in the gold cards, I think. But yeah, that's... What else can you say about it? It's a very sort of iconic card and very welcome sort of card to have in this sort of set. You're going to draft it, you're going to play it, you're going to do dragony things. It's pretty sweet. Pillage is super awesome. An Alliance's reprint. It's Mashi Scanlan from Channel Fireball's favorite card ever. 3 mana land destruction is something that Wizards doesn't do anymore, and now we have it at common with really nice new art, and it's cool to see. I dig it. Alliances was a super cool set, and if they're not going to go back to the well and print Force of Will again, it's cool that they printed one of the more playable cards from Alliances at common. So Pillage is sweet. Then we have Prosh, Sky Raider of the Kur. More big red commander dragons, or big, this time Jund color commander dragons that creates and dumps a bunch of kobold tokens. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just a big goofy dragon. That's cool. Then there's the red elemental blast, which we went over the blue. This one counters blue spells or destroys blue permanents for 1 mana. Super sweet art, mirrors the blue elemental blast, so that's cool. Another nice reprint to see. We have Sundering Titan with new art, El Sunderino, for those who watch LSV stream and play Cube. Super powerful card. Just a big old goofy golem. If you're playing this in draft, you just slam this in whatever deck you're playing and you play 8 drops, because that's what we're doing, right? Super sweet reprint, super cool art. I really like the tone and the palette used in this specific artwork. I like the blues and grays and that sort of cool tone feel. So I'm into it for sure. Then we have one of my favorite cards ever, and one of the cards that I really, really wanted to be reprinted in this set because the price has been steadily climbing since humans became a thing in Modern, and that is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Oh man, guys, they did it. They reprinted Thalia. We haven't seen a real printing of this card since Dark Ascension when it came out. And here it is. It's super, super sweet to see this card at rare. Have a nice reprint that'll bring the price down a little bit and make Death and Taxes more accessible again, which is always super cool for those who wanted to play it. I encourage everybody to play Death and Taxes. It didn't get the WMCQ art. That's okay. The original art's great as well. So I'm going to be picking up probably another playset of Thalia's just to have. I play Modern and Legacy Death and Taxes, so it's good to have them around. But yeah, I'm super excited to see Thalia. Hopefully this drives the price down a touch, not too much, and hopefully it brings more foils into the market, and maybe I can consider grabbing a set of foils from Masters 25. Super cool. I love Thalia, and it's all about the hate bears. So, Vindicate. Vindicate is an awesome Magic card. This is one of the first Magic cards that I ever remember being like a chase rare. This card, when it came out in Apocalypse, I remember me and my friends seeing it and being like, wow, that's a really good card. That card like does a lot. It's 3 mana land destruction. It's 3 mana blow up a creature. It happens to blow up Planeswalkers when Planeswalkers didn't exist in Magic. The original art is amazing. It's super cool to see. The watermark and the templating is really nice. Just destroy target permanent. Period. 3 words on a card. Just looks really, really good. It's a good looking Magic card. It's a super powerful Magic card. Like I said, when I first started playing Magic and was like a year or two deep and was getting more competitive or whatever, this was one of the first cards I recall being worth money that was new. That wasn't like, oh, Black Lotus is worth a lot, because it's always been worth a lot or whatever for like a long, long time. Vindicate was one of the first cards that came out and it was new. It was one of those cards that you wanted to open in your packs, that you wanted to get 4 of immediately, so you have them and you always could play, you know, good removal in your white-black decks. So, super sweet, super iconic, super important piece of Magic history, I think. In another set, Apocalypse, that didn't really have a ton of amazing cards to choose from, I think this is the perfect one. So I'm all about Vindicate. Again, more positivity. Monetarily, this is going to be a little bit of a bummer if you open this in your packs, because it's not worth a ton. But I don't care. Like, Vindicate's a sweet Magic card, so sure, you're paying $10 a pack to open like a $7 or $8 card, but it's still Vindicate. It's sweet. It looks good. I'm sure this in foil is going to look great. I can't wait to see that. So that's Vindicate. We have, back to the front, Achroma, Angel Fury. So I guess that brings us to the end of it. I believe. I thought there was more. You know what? There is more. I don't think I saved it on my in my file here. Let me go to Mythic Spoilers website, because there's one more card I want to talk about. Yeah, I just don't think it's saved. And that's Balduvian Horde. Another super sweet Alliances card that has a history from when it came out. It was super hyped because it's a 4-mana 5/5. That's Urnam Jin stats. And it was pretty bad when it came out. And the hype train was huge. And then it kind of fizzled out. But it's still super cool and super sweet. It was an iconic card. The new art's pretty sweet. A format of 5/5 in limited and draft. This is probably going to be pretty good in your aggressive red decks. So you could probably get a couple of these if you're trying to play mono red and just have really efficient 5/5s. Obviously, discarding at random's bad, but who cares when you're laying down the beats? So that was it. Sorry about that being missed in there. That's all I've got for today. Come back tomorrow, and we're going to be doing another video covering all of the spoilers that come out for tomorrow. I just wanted to go over this. So far, this set looks like a massive success, and we're like 20 cards deep. There's like 300 more cards to go. So I look forward to it. They're putting a ton of money into this as far as cards and finance and the value that you're going to be opening in your packs goes. There's a lot to like here. The foils are going to be worth infinite dollars. So if you snap off a foil chalice or any number of the other good chase foils, even like curse catchers are going to be worth something. Imperial Recruiter, that foil is going to be $500 easy. Because there was like a Judge foil promo at some point or another. Those are super expensive. So the new art, that's going to be a ton of money. So there's a ton of value and a lot to like. The limited environment probably will be fun. It's going to feel like Cube with all the power level of cards that are going to be in here. They're doing a great job. What were some of your favorite cards spoiled today? I obviously went over mine. Obviously, Thalia, Imperial Recruiter. Yeah. What are some of the cards that you liked from today? What was your favorite from today? And what do you think will be spoiled tomorrow? Leave that down in the comments below. And I look forward to hearing from all of you again soon. If you'll click across the screen that way, you'll see a subscribe button. Click that. If you have not subscribed, please do. And come back tomorrow for more spoilers. And it's an exciting time to be a Magic player. That is for sure. So I'll talk to you guys again very soon. And yeah, see you tomorrow for more spoilers.